I think the first thing you did on a podcast was smoke weed. So now,
Remember that time that I was like, how did that go? We were talking about how it's a kid-friendly show or something like that, and then you could hear my bong bubbling and Are we live? Are we recording?
we're recording. We've been
Oh,
recording for a little bit.
oh, good.
More footage is always better. And it doesn't have to be like a fluid conversation for this because I can just edit shit. So I don't care.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
But that's why I was like, the first thing you did on a podcast was smoke weed because now the last thing. You're going to do on a
Yeah.
podcast to smoke. What? So are you leaving for good
Uh,
or you don't know?
it to be determined. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's the way most,
Going on.
that's the way most people do. Just take a hiatus.
And I realized, like, it's not lost on me that we aren't a airport and that I don't need to announce my departure, but it's not,
It's generally best though for like when you get into your status, it's generally a good idea to be like, "Hey guys, leave me alone for a bit."
yeah,
So
I like that you say I have status.
you do. Everybody
Yeah.
came to your post and they were like, "Oh, you did you read this?" People were saying some nice shit.
Yeah, I definitely did. If there's a way to archive that post, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Facebook will archive it.
Yeah, it ain't going anywhere unless I make it go somewhere.
No, don't make it go anywhere. I'm just gonna be an asshole and go delete it real quick. Nobody better say anything nice unless it's about me. But yeah, it's generally a good
Good idea. I had a moment of a rare moment of sobriety where I was just like, you know what, like I can't put my focus into this at all, and it takes energy out of me um to watch the community and not be part of it really, like, and not have the energy to put anything into it, right?
yeah.
It's tough to take a leave from anything that you really enjoy or from a group of people you know actually care about you. Um, I don't experience that a lot in my life, and The Secret is the one of the very few places that I do. And so, um, I'm just taking an indefinite hiatus. You know what I mean? Like I don't obviously nobody ever truly leaves The Secret, unfortunately, but
Well, like, the good thing about The Secret is it's 40 something years old and it hasn't really changed that much. So it's
yeah,
not like you're gonna be missing anything. Like you leave for a year, 2 years, 10 years, it doesn't matter.
no,
Just pop back in, say hi.
yeah,
I mean, people
and
do
then
that
once
shit all
all
the
that,
time. Like Robert Fox just pops in occasionally and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Saw this on my feed."
yeah, yeah. I'll probably um surprise everyone with an episode of Cole's Corner one day when they
Nice.
least expect it. Because that was a lot of fun. That was pure arrogance almost on show because I had things I wanted to say and I had achieved a level of I'll use the word notoriety that allowed me to an audience essentially, right? Like,
Yeah.
somebody had commented in the thing that I posted because I said how, I thank people for letting me continue to teach this sort of stuff and teach the things that I've learned, going through The Secret. And, and they were like, teach, like, if you know how to teach this stuff, why are you out getting the casks kind of thing? And, it's like, it's not, that's not really what I meant, right? Like, I'm not giving lessons because I know this stuff. I'm just saying what I think. And luckily, I've made enough friends in the group to, like I said, acquire an audience. And so, I really like those because they're very subject specific. You know what I mean? Like I did the episode on hands. I had one that I was going to do on balls, and maybe one day I still will. It was after the gift givers post last year at Christmas. I was good because they had the picture of the Christmas balls in it, and I was going to do a episode on that, and then things kind of changed for me. But I still might one day. But
I really would
yeah,
like
it was
Cole's opinion on balls.
yeah.
Well, you were like you
It's
were really
actually
you were good at those because like it was concise, right? Like you knew the point you wanted to make and you just fucking made it. And you stayed on track as opposed to like Sunday Fun Days or podcast episodes where we just start talking about balls. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think that's a good thing. Like, rather than looking at the puzzle always as a larger, broad scope kind of thing, taking out individual parts and analyzing them, um, I think that does some good in these puzzles. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of times people get overwhelmed because the puzzle is so big, if you will. But if you can narrow down your scope of focus, then it can help, right? That's why, like, my favorite episode I did was the one on hands, because I put a lot of work into it, first of all, and second of all, like, it's something that not a lot of people talk about, right? Is like, what are these people in these pictures doing? What are their hands doing? Things like that. Um, and what are they designed to signify? And in doing that, you kind of you give yourself permission and the ability then to look at other aspects that are very seemingly minor, but could possibly be the most important part of the image, right? Like the smallest thing in Boston's image was the thing that made it found, essentially, right? The foot and the ball or the home plate. They're such minor little details that you have to use some real imagination to see because their whole point in that image is to highlight the end of the sleeve, but at the same time, like it's telling you, you know, this is where it is. That leg could be anything, right? The same way people see Big Jacks in the leg of the New Orleans guy. Um, you know, it's it's kind of like that where it's seemingly so minor, but could potentially crack the whole thing wide open, right?
Yeah, and it's a good way to look at stuff too because that's how like, when an artist is making their art, that's how they look at the art. They don't just draw
Mhm.
hands, right? They think to themselves, what is this person doing? What is the action being performed? What does his hands need to look like in order to do what I'm trying to convey? As oppo and
That's
and
right.
that's how an artist hides clues as opposed to, like, all the people online who are like, "Well, he's writing microscopic encyclopedia entries in the, brushstrokes." Like,
In one
it's
pixel.
yeah, yeah, and I think that Hands video perfectly illustrated, like, this is how an artist sort of, composes something in order to
Yeah.
convey a message.
Well, I think too, like it shows you that there's intention behind everything. You know what I mean? Like, sure, one could say that that all the characters in these pictures have hands because people have hands 99% of the time, right? But like, it's the way that they're pictured that matters, right? Like, Mm. but yeah, like there's an intention behind every detail in these pictures, and ultimately the intention is to help us find them. And they're terrible at that, but they do. That is the intention, right?
Yeah.
Like, that whole Boston Pops thing, like, I get it, right? And,
It's just not good. I don't get it.
and, like, I remember when I was down in Florida talking to you and Steven, um, I had mentioned how when I saw the wiki on the onset of my secret career, if you will, when I saw the wiki and they mentioned how everybody thought that image was the Boston one, like, the first clue that I really noticed was the name Boston in the picture, right? And a lot of people found that last, or when I think JJP actually talked about it at the meetup or like at the ceremony when they brought crew pad out and stuff. But like that was one of the first things I saw, and it was weird to me how like that shocked Steven to hear it, right? And I liked that, right? Like it was interesting. Um, but again, like it's to me that was a very obvious clue, whereas the Boston Pops thing was so convolutedly uh
Yeah.
gray, you know, for lack of better expression.
It's not something we would have ever gotten unless we were told, and I'm worried that the rest of these puzzles have shit like that in them. Something where you're trying to convey a message, but the image doesn't actually convey any part of that message.
Or it's conveying something that you really gotta know your Boston really to get that. You know what I mean? Like
Well, like, I liked John Michaels had a thing because, like, the beak of the bird is pointing towards the N and the thing, and he thought that meant Beacon Street, and that to me makes more sense than Boston Pops.
I go back a lot to the time when like JJP has talked a lot about Cleveland, how there's something in that picture that people haven't really found. And I think about that a lot because it's like, what about the other ones that we found that like what's in those other pictures that we just aren't seeing? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and if you look at Boston historically, regardless of what you saw publicly, the things that were important in the Boston image, nobody figured out until they were basically
Right.
told. You know, I
Definitely.
mean, people had talked about the leg and home plate, but never with as much importance as it had. The
That's right.
Boston thing they didn't talk about. The semaphore flags they didn't talk about. Boston pops they didn't talk about.
Yeah.
The baseball diamond in the hair. Like,
Yeah, what I like about that though is that, so we didn't learn about Boston Pops until JJP told us. But what that tells me is that you don't need those super distinct clues,
no,
right? Like they were found without them,
yeah,
right? And so it's nice to know at least that, that you can not know those things and still find a cask. You know what I mean?
yeah. I it,
Like I always loved the prospect. I remember when Brett Zingler was still on the show, he would talk sometimes about like, could you find this without even knowing the puzzle existed? Right? Let's say you were just metal detecting or something one day and something set it off. So you dug a hole and you found this cask, right? Like, obviously, you could reverse engineer a solution that way, but what a concept. You know what I mean?
honestly, I think you could find all of these without knowing that the paintings exist.
Yep.
Given enough
It's just the
time.
verses to get
Yeah.
you there.
Like if you were given the verses in a city, like just the city, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Could you find the city with just the verse?
No, I think that would be difficult with some of them. Some of them, yeah, like St. Augustine you could find.
Yeah.
Boston you could find. Some of them would be difficult. But if you were just given a city in the verse, like if you were just given a city of Chicago in the verse, you could find it. If you
Yep.
were just given the city of Cleveland and the verse,
Yeah.
that one might be tricky, but you could still
Yeah.
find it.
That's probably one of the more interesting things overall about The Secret is that is its delivery. You know what I mean? Like there was like the paintings and the verses and stuff. And like you say, like if they had just said, here's a city, here's a verse, go find it, right? Good chance all 12 would be found by now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And however, I digress because now we have that, right? We have the image, the verse, and the cities, because how many times has it been confirmed to us that the cities are correct, right? And so by the people that made the puzzle, by the way, um, now we have that. And I think I do see in the community people that are attempting to use just the verse or just the image and knowing what the city that they're in. You know what I mean?
There's some.
It's nice to see a different um, approach, right?
Honestly, I think the podcast created one of the biggest downfalls because we started promoting everything as a puzzle. When, like I've said this before, Byron didn't call this a puzzle. The book doesn't call this book a puzzle. It calls it a treasure hunt. And treasure hunts are way different from puzzles. You know? Like if I were to hand you a treasure map, there's no puzzle to it. You find the place, you follow the directions, you dig up the thing, you know?
Yeah.
And if we were to follow The Secret in that way, um, yeah, we would have made a lot more progress. Or at least if people for the past 40 years had followed it that way, most of these would
Yeah.
have been found, I think.
Yeah. What we have gained in the last few years is a more succinct way of diving into these puzzles. You know what I mean? Like we know now you can't just force feed the puzzle your theory and make it work or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like I think the community has finally accepted that you can't fit your theory to make the puzzle correct or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like you have to fit your theory within the puzzle, not the other way around
Yeah.
in order to get anywhere, right? It doesn't help to, you know, you and JM used to use a word or an expression, I can't remember off the top of my head, but brute force, right? To try to brute force the puzzle into fitting your theory. And it can't work that way.
Yeah. And the community is really coming around to that because, like, when you first started, which was prior to Expedition Unknown, just shortly before that, right? Like you found it via
Yeah.
rabbits. So it was just shortly
Yeah.
before Expedition Unknown. When you found it and the Expedition Unknown people came in, there was a lot of brute forcing. There was a lot of there was I don't want to say bullshit, but there was a lot of like derailed conversations about nothing, you know? A lot of people going off on tangents. But now it seems like the community really has come to that realization where now you have people posting these weird tangents and they're largely just ignored. You know, you have people talking
Yeah.
about alternate cities and they're largely just ignored. I think people are starting to realize, okay, there is a formula. There's a not really a formula, but there's a logic behind all of this.
Yeah.
Um, God, what was the biggest argument during the first expedition unknown people were the back of the book, and even
Um,
that's largely ignored now. People are just like, whatever, do your own thing, draw your lines if you want, whatever.
yeah.
Did you have any experience with puzzles before, like rabbits?
Uh, other than rabbits, not really. No, like the word puzzle to me always just meant jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Um, I used to really enjoy those, like, what are they called? Oh man, Maverick has a few of those books where it's like it's a photograph of like a table with a bunch of shit all over it, and you got to find specific
Yeah.
things, right? Like a safety pin or
Yeah, yeah.
hammer, whatever. Right?
Like, where's Waldo?
Look, yeah, look and find where's Waldo, that sort of thing. But not this extent. And even to say that rabbits gave me the experience of the puzzle is sort of a misnomer because rabbits just taught me what an ARG is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And often ARGs have puzzles worked into them. Um, but for the most part, that's kind of the way I was looking at it. Um, and so when I found The Secret, I thought about it in the same vein as I do rabbits. Like, how do you play this game? Like, how do what are the rules? What are the pieces that we're working with? Things like that. And I learned a lot. Like, Chris Woodford, who's always been one of my favorite human beings since meeting him, he always used to say that, you know, um, we need to stop looking at this as like as a like you said, like as a puzzle, and more so like a scavenger hunt or a treasure hunt. 'Cause there is a fine line, I guess, between the two types of things, right? Um, and I sort of always keep that in my brain that it isn't you know a jigsaw where you've got pieces that are all weird shapes and you got to fit them together somehow. In a metaphorical sense, it sort of is like that, but it's not how you do it. You know what I mean? It's not just a matter of finding pieces and putting them on a table. This is identifying the pieces, first of all, figuring out what their purpose is, and then expounding from that into a solution or, an idea. So
Yeah,
I don't,
it's not
I
nearly
never
as
really had much otherwise.
But so when you first came in, I remember some strange call posts.
Yeah. I had the underground,
The underground
the
city
indoor
thing.
cask.
Yeah, yeah, the indoor cask. Um, which I don't remember. There's an underground mall or something in
Yeah.
Montreal,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And they call it the underground city, actually. But it's basically just a big mall.
the only thing I remember was there was a planter and a lamp, and the lamp shines a shadow on the planter, and you dig that planter.
Well, the light actually shined on the planter. It wasn't that it was a
Yeah.
shadow. I was never a proponent of shadow theory, but
Well, I didn't.
I,
I couldn't remember. I remember there was a way to pinpoint, but I just assumed
yeah,
it's a shadow.
yeah. I put a lot of. I wrote pretty. I wish I could still find that report, but I made a pretty deep.
I remember you emailed me something, so I might be able to find that.
So the first person I ever talked to in the community was JM, and I had just come back from a trip to Ottawa, and we were uh, partying down in a place called Majors Island Park, which looks up at the back of the Parliament building in Ottawa, like where our prime minister and stuff works. And from the angle we were at, it looked a lot like the Milwaukee building, like the picture or the building in the Milwaukee image. And so I asked JM, I was like, has anybody ever thought that maybe there's a cask in Ottawa because X, Y, and Z or whatever? And, rather than be a jerk about anything, he just said, well, nobody's ever really questioned Milwaukee being Milwaukee. And at that point, I had no idea what anybody had ever questioned or talked about, right? Like I kind of figured everything was still very up in the air as far as the definitive location or anything like that. I kind of expanded on a lot of that stuff, which led me to Montreal, of course. But for me, like the most interesting thing and the reason it's like my being Canadian really had nothing to do with the fact that I was looking into Montreal. What intrigued me the most about Montreal is that it's the only image that is indoors essentially. Like there's no outside really. Like New Orleans, I guess you could say is kind of like that, but even that has a sky and stars in the clock, things like that. Like there is no indication of an outside. And that's when I started thinking about the indoor cask, right? Like, how crazy would it be if one of them happened to be inside? And so I looked into the underground city and things like that, and eventually I discovered the Mount Stephen Club, and I thought, well, anybody thought to go look on the shelves of the Mount Stephen Club? And fast forward a few years, and a guy that I was working with, who I don't think is in the community anymore, but a guy I was working with that lived in Montreal, he actually went and spoke to the managers, I guess is the word I want to use. I don't think I can use the word owners of Mount Stephen Club, but he went and spoke to them, and they couldn't really recall much because the people he spoke to were like next generation managers, like the people that would have been there in the 80s are all gone. And so, and gone doesn't necessarily mean dead. It's just they aren't involved with Mount Stephen Club anymore. And eventually I came to, I just started noticing a lot of things about it that couldn't take me away from Mount Stephen Club. So that became my official place, if you will. And, you know, that's that. But knowing what, like the renos and stuff that happened to that place, you know, I would love to go and dig a hole in the exact spot that I thought of, but it would kind of be a moot point. Like it's,
Still find it odd that Montreal is the one verse where they tell you to seek permission to dig. So somebody knows something about this, but
yeah,
no one has ever sought out the people who worked at Mount Stevens Club. And no one has ever sought them out, like the people who worked there in the 80s.
yeah.
It shouldn't be hard to figure out who like the owner, the manager or whatever was. It shouldn't be hard to figure out who you should talk to.
But yeah, and after Montreal, I moved on to looking more into to me, the more important wasn't so much let's look at each city individually. It was I wanted to look at the whole thing, right? And that's kind of why I got into the podcast in the first place, is because it was a place to be able to talk about the puzzle as a whole rather than always just thinking about one city. You know what I mean? Like it helps, I think, to do one of two things: either concentrate only on one place, or look at the puzzle as a whole and apply what you learn there to the smaller sections, right?
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to focus on one city because once you start focusing on one city, like you're getting so much from the front part of the book, like the vanishing and the passage, you're getting so much information about other cities. You're getting so much like categorical information that it's hard to stay focused on that one city. You kind of have to branch out and look at it as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like on the most broad fundamental level, uh, like there is as far as I can tell, there is an overarching, I'm gonna use the word philosophy very loosely here, when it comes to the puzzle, but, and I think it helps more to do that, but then, you raised a good point where, if you focus just on one puzzle, a lot of times you'll find things that the other puzzles that sort of relate to the other puzzles,
Mhm.
and that can make things kind of frustrating. Um, so, having said that, it's nice to find those things because it just tells you that yes, these puzzles are connected essentially, right? But you know, seeing things in one doesn't necessarily mean that it's true for the other, sort of thing. And I think that's where a lot of people that follow the back of the book kind of fall short, is because there are things back there that that are so vague that you could apply it to literally any other part of the puzzle, and you can confirm for yourself uh whether or not it's true,
Yeah.
right? Like I mean, like, no offense to the anagram community, but I just think, like, given the amount of words that you can create with other words, and like they're just
Dude, the
finding words in more.
anagram community doesn't even make words anymore. They just make like two letters
Well,
and
they
they're
don't.
like, this means
A lot of
go.
times they don't make actual anagrams either.
Yeah.
But I just think like you're almost shooting yourself in the foot by overloading yourself with this information, right? And coming up with new ways to look at it. Like there is a very distinct way of seeing this, and a lot of time, and only like what? How many people have found cast? Two, three, and then the Chicago guys was three guys.
Between 3 and 5, depending on what day.
Three, and okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, roughly eight people have found these things in the ground, and I highly doubt it was because they overloaded themselves and they,
Yeah. And a lot of these weird connections people are finding is just seriously just coincidence, right? Like you're dealing with 12 puzzles that have to do with immigration to the US at about the same time. You know, a bunch of different immigration groups at about the same time to the same country. They're going to involve the same people, they're going to involve the same routes, they're going to involve the same themes without needing to be connected. It's just like when people start looking for Mark Twain stuff. Like you're going to find Mark Twain shit in every single city just because
Yeah.
it's Mark Twain, right? Like so
Twain, yeah.
so you're going to find a lot of if you start looking at people involved in immigration or immigration struggles or, you know, like even just like officials like George Washington. You're going to find connections everywhere, not because the puzzle has these connections, but because George Washington's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Olmsted stuff, right? Like the guy that built all those parks,
Yeah.
right? His last name is Olmsted, I think it is.
Yeah.
Like you can find him in every city in The Secret.
It's because he made parks in every city.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
it's
sure he probably has one in Sheboygan.
yeah. Like if you start looking at stained glass lamps, you're going to find a lot of Tiffany lamps. That doesn't mean all those
Mhm.
Tiffany lamps are, you know, connected to the puzzle. It just means Tiffany made a lot of damn lamps.
Yeah. I think maybe the leg eater might be an exception there because like there there are lots of them all over the place. Whether they look exactly like that one that Mount Stephen claimed is questionable, but you know, there are other ones. Somebody found one a long time ago, apparently in Montreal somewhere else, and they refused to tell anyone where it was because they weren't team players. But
Yeah, I think a friend of yours knows where that is, and if you ask her, she'll probably tell you.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it had nothing really to do with anything. So there somebody found that one and there's some in Italy and that's it. That's all that's ever been found.
But yeah, it was more important to me, like overall, to not focus just on one place. Like I wanted to focus on the mechanics more than anything. I like to see how things are built and how they work inside. You know, it's funny that episode of Cole's Corner I was going to do about balls kind of got ruined because the gift giver made their post and people were commenting and stuff. And as soon as I saw the post, I was like, "Fuck yeah, I have a really cool idea." And it was going to be about New York, but then somebody in the comment, like in the section, there was somebody I'd never seen before. I can't even tell you if I've seen their name in it since. They made a comment that was basically the premise of the whole episode. And so I was like, well, fuck, I don't want to do that now because then it looks like I'm just ripping this guy off.
I can't wait. There's gonna be a sort of semi gift giver this year, and it's gonna fuck with people so hard. Oh my god, it's
How do
gonna
you know that, George?
I just know. So you can know. I don't give a shit if you know. Um, so you know that painting that no one knows. Like John started a painting and it was incorporated into The Secret. Like it was a
The one
personal
with the
work.
guy in front of the trees?
No, no. Like when they were creating The Secret, they were running out of time. So John
Okay.
had this like personal painting that he was painting just for himself. And Byron saw it and was like, let's use that. So they changed it to be a Secret painting. And I always thought it was Milwaukee, and it's not. It's San Francisco.
Wild.
Yeah, so that's gonna come out, and then John's gonna release, secret drawings.
Oh, cool. Like
Yeah,
sketches.
yeah.
I should get me one of those.
They're gonna be expensive. I'm not even gonna be able to get me one of these. Because I think he's aiming for, like, 2, 3 grand.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be, like it's not, like, tangentially related to The Secret. It is direct fucking related to The Secret, and no
Oh, wow.
questions. I think he might even be I don't know if any of them are studies from back in the day or if they're new. At that part, I don't know yet. But if they're old studies, like, could you imagine the Chicago drawings that I got, but for like Montreal?
Yeah. That'd be tight.
I think he's also going to say something about both Montreal and Milwaukee being the last paintings painted. And that's why they have basically nothing in the image to help you.
They were the last two that he did. Wild. That doesn't surprise me. It's been a ride, man. I gotta say, like, I've been doing this now for 8 years, I guess. And like not even talking about the secret, but more so just the sense of community that's built into it. You know, it's hard to experience that on social media, especially, right? Like,
Yeah.
because my biggest problem has always been with social media that, it gives everybody basically equal standings when it comes to their ability to express an opinion. And I always thought about it like, in 1984, George Orwell's 1984, there's a line where he says, "We're all equal, but some of us are a little more equal than others." Right. And I think I sort of apply that to the secret community in a sense because, I mean, yeah, because of social media, all of us have a place to express any opinion you want, but there's a large cross section of people, and it's like they're talking for the sake of talking. You know what I mean? Like it's only to exercise that ability rather than exercising that ability with purpose, right? Because there's always that age old adage, well, you don't have a cask, so fucking nothing you say matters. And it's like, well, I mean, I actually have two now. They're replicas, and I'm like, you know, if I do Blue Sage at 9, I'm gonna bury one of those casks as kind of like an homage, if you will.
That'd be cool. I
Also as an homage to rabbits, because when I first got into rabbits, the ninth iteration was going on, and so it would just sort of be an homage to that as well. I try to fit an homage to rabbits into every single puzzle I make. Um, and like eight's not the only one that's still active. I think five was never found, but there was a time limit on it, which was an experiment, if you will, and nobody found it. I was actually going through one of my sketchbooks the other day, and I found the original artwork for Blue Sage 5, and kind of wanted to revamp it, almost like bring it back to life because the prize, if you will, is still in the place that I had it put. And same with Blue Sage 1, it was found. Marion Schaefer Sakima, I hope I didn't butcher her name, but she was the one that figured that puzzle out. But she lives in Texas and never went and retrieved it. And I actually asked last year, I asked Brody if he would go down because he lives really close to the Cluette Gardens where that particular box is hidden. And as far as I know, it's still in the ground behind the telephone booth. And I asked him to go dig it up, but then he had another kid and life and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's still, as far as I know, it's still there.
Dude, you should have said something because I'm in Brody's town like 3 times a year. Because
So
Rachel's like headquarters or work headquarters is like right down the road from his house.
oh, is
So
that right?
every time we go to Christmas parties, like a couple of, I don't know, a month or so ago, I was like, I'm going to New Orleans. That's where I was going. So if you ever want it dug up, yeah, let me know. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I get back.
And the only reason I think it's still there too is because there's like in the box, the task, if you will, is a little casket. It's shaped like a coffin, and in it there's a voodoo doll and some other stuff. But there's also a note in it that has my email information and stuff. And I have never gotten an email from anyone about it. Right, like when Taylor won the last one, she had like I part of the clues was you had to build this email address and then email the answer to the last clue, and that's how you won the game, right? And and she figured it out, and she got the answer. Her and I think it was her husband were working together, or just a close friend, or something like that. I still owe her a prize, and I haven't forgotten. For the record, it's potentially always still coming until you get it, kind of thing. But um, you know, and that was kind of the whole deal. And same with eight, like the treasure is buried in a little box, and inside the box is my email information and stuff. So, if anybody's found it, they just picked it up and threw it out. But it's wrapped in black tape, like the little box is covered in electrical tape to seal out any water and stuff, because where it is gets a lot of fucking rain. And of course snow melts and things like that. Um, so, you know, and I think that's like I love the inspiration that I took from the secret community to do Blue Sage. Like, yeah, just like how people responded to, my exit post and my Cole's Corner posts, I saw people that wanted to hear what I had to say. And like growing up, all I ever heard was that I talked too much, right? And nobody wants to listen and all this kind of shit, right? So to be part of a community that actually looks at you and says, yeah, like I want to hear what you have to say specifically. You know what I mean? Like that meant the world to me. And so that's what inspired me to want to even start a puzzle company. Uh, I didn't get the name for it until puzzle number two, because which was found by, fuck, I forget his name. I want to say it's Keith something. He sends me a picture every Christmas because Cape May is where it was, and he lives there and actually went to the site kind of thing and all this. But
Okay.
they make a beer. They make a beer called Cape May uh, Breweries or something like that. It's in the South Point of New Jersey's island, if you will. Um, but anyways, that place, that park that I had put into the image, is full of blue sage flowers, and so that's just where I took the name from, kind of thing, and kept it going after that. And I thought it was nice to just offer an alternative to, to The Secret, right? Like keep people in the puzzle mindset, but show them different puzzles, right?
Yeah. And it seems to have taken off. I mean, people were
And I'm surprised I even got to make 8 of these things. Like, I kinda thought after a while people would get bored of it, but, I'm finding new formats and stuff. Like, the last one was all video. This one, like, the current one is a mix of video, verse, pictures, things like that, um, and just a lot of, dissection, if you will. But, uh, it was just an interesting experiment that seemed to take off pretty well. So, if I ever have time to breathe again, I'll probably, if nobody's found 8 by, like, March, then I'm gonna probably just shut it down and then do 9, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and the fact that I've only had help on one of the puzzles, like, the creation of one of the puzzles, was also something that I was, proud of, because, A, the people that I worked with it on, Arthur and Brody, like, they were, um, I'm gonna use the word invaluable, in that they were, like, there was no price point or thing, anything like that, that I could apply to their work that, would definitively show you what it meant to me. Like, the fact that I had Arthur on there at all is what was huge to me. And, Brody and I have been brothers basically since we met, just like Nick and I. And so to have them, like, and they approached me about it. Like, I had put a thing out saying that I wanted involvement from somebody else in the community to help me design a puzzle. And, both of them came to me and we worked out that puzzle. And despite the fact that it was the fastest one found, um, it still meant as much to me as any of the other ones did, because of the help that I had. Like, I did next to nothing short of approve everything that they brought to me, right? And, it was nice.
Yeah.
I got to be Byron for a minute, you know what I mean? Where I could say, I want you to work on the image, I want you to work on this verse. Let's talk about everything we put in and see where we get, right?
You ever watched Inside the Actor's Studio?
Nope.
Really?
Yep.
All right, so it's just a panel show where this dude who is dead now, the interview guy has since died, but it was a television show where this acting school would bring on very prominent actors and just ask about the craft, right? Um, and they would have like master students sitting in the audience, and it was basically a class for the master students, but uh, they would air it on TV because it was interesting to watch Robin Williams do an interview for 2 hours, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But I always liked the way that they ended because they would end by asking a series of questions, the exact same questions to the people. And I can't ask you those questions because they're not really applicable. Well, some of them I can. Like, what's your favorite cuss word?
My favorite cuss word?
Yeah,
Probably just fuck.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Um, but it's like everybody's leaving now. We've had so many like leaving. It seems like 10 years is the cutoff. I'm the only one retarded enough to stay past 10 years. So I feel like we should have a series of questions, right? Like,
Let's do it right now.
uh, should we start negative or start positive and go negative and then back positive? Let's start negative. What's your least favorite thing about The Secret or the community?
Uh, the knee-jerk reaction people have when they first kind of join, where they think that like, they just know what they think they know, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
their knowledge is definitive because it's part of them. And so I get the confirmation bias that people constantly apply is what drives me the most insane, right? That and the whole "you don't have a cask, so you don't know nothing" kind of idea. Like that retort, to me is it's a huge cop out from the defending side, if you will, or the offending side.
Because it's like circular, right? I don't have a cast, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but you don't have one either, so you don't know what the fuck you're talking about either. So what are we doing here?
And it really like it shuts down conversation,
Yeah.
right? Like the fact that none of us have casks should not limit our ability to talk about it.
Well, generally, if you notice the people who use that use it when they're backed into a corner, right? When their
100%.
their logic is failing, they're like, "Well, do you have a cask? No, so you don't know what you're talking about." Or you guys have been doing this for 40 years without any results. Forgetting the fact that we've been doing it for 40 years and found 3 casks. You know?
Exactly. There have been results.
Um, yeah, it's always like you're backed into a corner, so you're just using that. And it's essentially a sign. It's like waving a white flag.
Yep.
What's your least favorite experience?
Uh, so I've only ever blocked one person from the community, the secret community. I think he's still in it, but I don't see it obviously. And what led me to that is sort of like is one of my least favorite experiences, but also losing friends over something like this. You know what I mean? Like um as much as everybody else couldn't stand the kid, like I actually really fucking liked him and I loved talking to him and I felt like he really liked talking to me. And then we had a bit of a issue with somebody else that we talked to in the community that I'm not going to bring up, but and that just shut it all down. You know what I mean?
It's weird because he's not a bad guy. Like I liked talking to him too. I liked having him around. I think when he was on Reddit, when he was like before he turned into just major asshole for no reason, he was really good at keeping conversations grounded, and he
Yep.
was really good at informing people. Like he would just tell you facts and he would have a conversation about them. And then he just kind of went batshit insane.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I miss talking to him quite a bit. Like we would spend 2-3 hours in a night, just me and him doing what you and I are doing now. And like you say, like he wasn't really a dick at first about how he presented the information, but over time that changed quite a bit. Like he would go from, saying, okay, well, no, that can't be possible because in 1987 this was here or whatever, right? Whereas he has slowly devolved into, well, you're just an idiot and you should know this stuff
Well, I know
and
a lot of that was like deflection, right? Because life got bad.
yeah.
So hopefully it got better because like he's not around as much anymore. So hopefully it got better.
Yeah, I hope so. I really do. And I wish him well regardless of anything that happened between us. But you know, that's probably my least favorite thing was that I lost, close friends that I thought I'd made, and and I don't like doing that.
Yeah. We used to have one over here. That helps.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does.
And you still got Nick, probably. I don't have to talk to Nick
Yeah.
in a while.
Oh yeah. The hardcore group still exists.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. The chat group is I think four of us now. There's Nick, Carolyn, me, and Jason and Rob.
I remember that shit with oh fuck. That was my favorite. That was my favorite bad memory. The hardcore group with the
Yeah. That's what it like I guess I could just tell you now he's the only person I have blocked on here. Like
yeah.
and it was because of that whole thing. Like but and I don't know if you want to edit this out or not. You can leave it in. It's fine if you want. But what he did that didn't do was like took his time to get shitty, right?
Yeah.
If I can be so blunt. Whereas like just immediately turned on a guy. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you told him as soon as I mentioned to him that that picture was not Louis Armstrong or even, even just contested his ideas, it was just like, well, fuck you, I'm out. You know what I mean? And so he started getting really, I don't know. I'm gonna just use the word bad. Like I just didn't like him around, and so I was like, you know what? And then I'd see him talking on other posts and stuff, and it would upset me. And so I just finally said one day, I was like, you know what, dude? Like I preach to people all the time that if you don't like somebody in the community, just block them. You won't see their posts, that kind of thing. So I better practice what I preach, right?
Yeah.
So I did that, and I mean, I'm no worse for wear, and I doubt he is either. But um,
I was in the same position as that. I don't know if I don't know how many people caught on to this, but and I don't know how many people talk to like he talked to me because it used to bother me quite a bit. Like, but
mm,
not bother me. Like he used to like talk to like he just send message after message after message after
yeah,
message, and I started like painting a picture of like life in my
yeah,
head, and a lot of shit didn't make sense. And I came to the conclusion that whatever life he lives is bad because most of the shit that he presents is completely made up. Like I remember once in the hardcore group, he was talking about how he likes to restore cars. And his conversations always followed somebody else. So like we were talking about restoring cars and then all of a sudden restores cars, right?
yeah.
And posted this car that he's restoring and it was a 1994 Honda Civic. But if you were to just like Google 1994 Honda Civics, you find this car and you would think there's nothing fucking special about this car. But
Mm,
when you're a car guy, you're looking at this 1994 Honda Civic and you're like, this is a very fucking specific car. And you don't own this car. This car wins races. Like this car, this is not your fucking car. And I remember he came to visit St. Augustine and like he said he had to rent a car because he was buying a car for his wife, but they haven't purchased the car yet or something. And he was staying at this he said he was staying at the Casa Monica, right? Which is this big, huge upscale hotel downtown. Costs a lot of money to stay at. But when we walked out to his car, like he had a sleeping bag in the back seat, like and he like it was just it was weird. Like you could tell he didn't live a good life and he kind of lied to make it seem like he did, which people do, and there's no
yep,
fault for that.
yep.
Um, but I feel like he used to always get pissed off defending people he thought were slighted, right? And I feel like he did that because no one ever did that for him. Like whether or not the people were slighted or not. I remember he like went on a long rant about some chick that he felt was slighted, and the chick was like, I don't even give a shit about any of this.
Yeah, it's not at all what he. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I do remember that actually. Now you mention it, that he played like where Keith James often plays the devil's advocate, right? Like he was always the angel on everyone's shoulder
So why
to
not?
make them feel better,
Yep.
even if they were completely wrong.
Yeah. And like he posts art that he does that's just like photoshopped pictures.
Well, wasn't he like a big art thief or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. He posted on Craigslist that he was the one that stole all the art from that Boston and he tried to sell it for like $1 million and got caught by the FBI.
Yeah. What a dumb move that was.
Yeah. I mean, it takes all kinds, I guess, but it's like
I guess.
the
Yeah.
characters that this hunt, brings, it's so fucking weird. Yeah, most of that'll get cut out.
That's fine.
All right, so we talked about your least favorite. What's your favorite thing in the past 10 years that you've experienced with the community?
With the
Or what's your
community,
your
not the
favorite your
puzzles.
your favorite thing about the community?
Uh, just the fact that it's maintained this long. You know what I mean? Like in today's age where people's attention spans get shorter every day, it's wild to me that that this many people can be focused on this puzzle for so long. You know what I mean? And and like because there's still a lot of the OGs out there, and I don't even really consider myself one, but a lot of the OGs are still there, and I just love that we maintain ourselves as a group. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we get kind of stupid sometimes and shit happens, but it's at the end of the day, we're still here. You know what I mean? And that to me is really cool. I miss Johnny Windex and people like him that, they often played the other side of the coin, not to be rude or to be shitty, but to try to help people think differently. And for me, like that was the whole point behind Cole's Corner. I said it in the very first episode was that I'm not here making these videos to try and solve any of these puzzles. I'm here to show that there are different ways of looking at stuff that just make more sense than the way we were doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if I could be so arrogant, the fact that I like, when I made that exit post, the amount of response that I got to it, like, it kind of put that Irish tickle in my throat where, you know, I've never felt acceptance like that, or maybe not even so much acceptance, but like people holding me up in a sense, right? I've never experienced that in my life. And it's outside of the secret community, right? Like I could go to anybody and talk to them. Anybody felt that they could come talk to me. I went through my email yesterday and found, I think, what was my count? Like 56 emails over the course of about 4 months that were people saying, I dig your opinions, your ideas on this puzzle. Can I get your thoughts on this? Right. Um, Sadly, because I kind of suck in a lot of ways, but one of those ways was that I couldn't commit myself to take the time to respond to a lot of those, right? So, I mean,
I mean,
overall, I apologize for that, but it's like, um, it's nice. This is how I like to put it, and I hope the rest of the community will take this because it's a great way of thinking about community standards in general. But it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And a lot of people were that for me, you know what I mean? And I think you and I, and Brett and Matt and JM, of course, we're symbols to the community of, not necessarily symbols of higher learning necessarily, but like we have been so invested in this for so long that people feel they can come to us and rely on us for information. And like we're complete strangers, right? And basically until I came to Florida, you and I were kind of complete strangers. You know what I mean? And I love so much that, like I try so fucking hard not to use the word celebrity here, but in a sense, in our community, we are that because people like you mentioned Cole in the community, you mentioned George, people know exactly who you're talking about. Right. And there are other Georges, there are other Coles in the community, I'm sure. But, you know, to me, it's just, I like feeling important and I like feeling important because of what I know. Right. Like I like to learn stuff and disseminate knowledge accordingly. That's one of my favorite things to do in life, right? Cooking, my job now, doing The Secret, literally anything. I like to just learn shit and then tell people that stuff, right? Because I think they should know it too.
I don't want to say anything because you look like you're forming a thought.
No, say something.
Oh, okay.
I'm always forming thoughts. It's okay.
Then what's your favorite memory?
My very favorite memory, I mean, digging in St. Augustine will be up there for sure. Um, Meeting Nick was a big deal for me because like him and I don't know that I've ever made a friend so fast, so deeply,
Yeah.
or rather so deeply, so fast. You know what I mean? Like he's a big deal to me. And we don't talk a lot these days because my head is so up in the air that I don't really talk to a lot of people personally. But, meeting Nick and Jason, and of course you, um, like these are all things that I'll never forget when it happened. Like with Nick, especially, it was funny because I was the interloper of the hardcore group. Like Adam and Sabrina and I think Nick were the guys that first started that group.
No,
And
that was me.
well, you were in it.
No. I started that group.
Did you? Were you the guys started? Okay, 'cause
So,
Adam
so
was also one of the guys, but
no, no. Adam started the Facebook group. I started the chat. So that whole thing started when Ashley Dufresne's brother died. And so what I did was I just got a chat group together and I was like, hey, let's buy flowers for Ashley's brother's funeral. And that chat group never fucking stopped. And it is still going on today. That's why, like, when you added me back and you looked at the thing, it was like you can't I don't think you could remove me. Or no, it said George Ward was the only one that it didn't say added by.
and also like you asked me about my favorite memory. Like joining the podcast to me was a big achievement. Like I have this philosophy that in any organization, if you go high enough, you get to one guy, right? And um, I wanted to be one of those guys, right? So I made sure to make friends with you individually, JM, of course, Brett, who I met once, like officially met once I joined the podcast, and then Matt. And I remember I had spoken to Matt Sparks online a lot previous to joining the podcast. And then the day I joined was the first day I ever saw him physically, like a picture of him kind of thing. And the first thing I said to him was, "Man, Matt, you're a lot older than I thought you were." Like I thought he was young like us, and he's like the grandfather of the secret. And I didn't mean anything pejorative by it, but it was just shocking to me that because it felt like I was talking to somebody my age, right?
It was so fun when we went to San Francisco. It was the first time I met Matt. We had like a little mini meetup thing. It was like 30
Mm.
people there. And Matt walks up with his daughters, and his daughter's my age. And he's in like mom jeans that are like pulled way up high. He's got a copy of The Secret like folded up in his back pocket. And like you would look at this guy in any other situation and he would be like if he were at Comic-Con, you would be like, "Oh, he's a nerd that's here to see whatever." But like as soon as he walked up and you went, "Oh, it's Matt," he was fucking swarmed. Every
Mhm.
single person at the meetup was like he was like a god. He was the local celebrity. And it was really nice to see that. In fact, at every meetup, there's always somebody there, and it's really nice to sit back and watch them get just the attention they deserve. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No, I really enjoyed, like, I felt like I had achieved something when you asked me to come and co-host or just be on the show because I had been on it a couple times prior to actually officially joining the podcast team. And, we had fun. I remember a few of the conversations we had had kind of thing, but a lot of it was always just you, me, George, or you, me, Matt, and Brett. And like Brett, I connected with Brett on like on a level of humor. You know what I mean? Like we can make each other laugh. My love for 80s rock and roll kind of not necessarily matches his, but like we had a lot of comparable things to talk about between us. And I ended up having like some one-on-ones with him a little bit. And like I fell in love with the guy almost immediately because he's just so damn funny. But I thought initially that he was very short and it turns out that he's not at all. And first, I don't know why I ever thought that, but I always just pictured him being like a short little guy. And then I seen a picture of him one day, like a full body picture of him standing, I think maybe even next to you. And I was like, holy shit, like he's a tall guy like me, right?
There's a tradition that you don't know about because you never left the podcast, where the person going out recommends who replaces them. So when JM left, he said, "Hey, you should bring on Bradley." And when Bradley left, he said, "Hey, you should bring on Cole." So
Yeah.
Cole's
I
leaving.
like that.
Who should we bring on?
I probably need to think about that a little bit, but
Oh, you can say no, you gotta answer.
no, I gotta say now, okay, I think I would love it if Nick could replace me. Like if he had the time and the desire to do it, I would love to see him kind of
Nick's got
shoes.
really good ideas. You know,
He
when you
does, and
when you can get her to sit down and talk about
yeah,
them.
like Nick is so fucking nice that like you'd swear he was almost Canadian. You know what I mean? Like he's just so um cool, and I can't. I have so many nice things to say about that dude. Like he, in some ways, he kept me in the secret for as long as I've been here, and even when I wanted to just throw in the towel and give up all the time, like he was always the guy that would help me maintain. Between you and him, and Jason too. Jason Olsen is another guy that I think needs a lot more credit than he gets because of his chart. Like he put a lot of time and effort into that. He got shit on constantly for it, and but I mean,
People love his chart.
I know, but sometimes I've seen posts where people think it's stupid or whatever.
Yeah,
They don't agree
people are
with it
dumb.
in Milwaukee or whatever, but you're gonna get that no matter what. But I mean, like he has, like when you really boil it down, Jason Olsen has the only external compendium to the secret that has ever been made, right? Like that chart that he did with the cities, the flowers, and the jewels, you know, nobody had done that before. And what he did there was he compiled information that the community discovered. You know what I mean? Like he put in the latitude, longitude that Robert Fox found, showed up Fox, of course. And, like he put all this information together and made it so accessible. And I think the community owes him a great deal of thanks for it. I'm sure he's gotten a lot of thanks for it, right? But I think like that's huge. Like to me, I think Jason's chart is as important as Fox finding the latitude, longitude. That stuff is all on an equal plane of importance to me, because if you don't use it, you're only kind of doing yourself a disservice,
Yeah.
right? And these are the people though that, like, the main people in my life in The Secret that have influenced me and have talked to me and validated my ideas and things like that. And, I'll forever be in their debt. Right. Jason would be another good person to fill my shoes. Like, he's got great ideas. He's very knowledgeable. He's a little older than me, so he's got some experience in that, right? Also, he used to be in the Navy and stuff, so you know he's been places that none of us have, and like, I love the community as a whole, but there are individuals within it that need to be recognized more than they are because of the efforts that they've put in to making this whole thing still succeed. You know what I mean? People that throw in the towel don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they're all gone, and to have to wade through the fucking pools of shit that people constantly have to wade through to get their ideas heard. If they actually achieve something with it, like Jason did, or Robert, or whatever, that's a big deal. You know,
So that's the next podcast. It's going to be me, Nick, and Jason. You have to convince them.
I would do my best. I think Jason would do it before Nick does, but I could be wrong.
Jason's done it a couple of times already.
Yeah,
So, and he's always been great to talk to.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, he's a really great guy. Both of them are. I love them like brothers. And one day I can't wait to shake Jason's hand. Like, he wants me to go down and stay there too, and where I want to so bad.
He's a lot of fun.
Um,
He had never had Starbucks before we met. We met and I bought him his first Starbucks.
Surprised you didn't buy him a Dunkin' Donut.
There wasn't a Dunkin' Donuts. There was only
Oh,
Starbucks.
oh yeah,
Starbucks on Coney Island.
yeah.
He had a
Also,
white mocha
I
frappuccino.
nice. I want to give, like, this is just going to be kind of a weird aside, and whether you keep it or not is up to you. But I'd like to give a shout out to what I call the women of The Secret. You know what I mean? Like, Carolyn with Nick, Robin. Robin and Carolyn are like sisters to me. They're angels in the world, and you know, as a Satanist, I tell people all the time that I still think saints exist, but I don't see them the same way that canonical people do. I think saints are people that, by virtue of their very existence, just bring good into the world. And the people that I've stayed friends with throughout this whole thing, uh, not the least of which are people like Carolyn, Robin, Sabrina, Rachel, of course. To me, that's what those people are. Like, if not only in my world, right? Like, the fact that they exist in my world at all makes my world tolerable, and if not downright awesome, right? And so, um, and I think about other ladies in the community that have made a big deal, like Marion, Marge, Josiane, like, you know, they just bring a different outlook on the whole thing. And not that gender really has anything to do with any of this stuff, but it's just these people have, I don't know, affected me in really positive ways. You know what I mean? And so I can't not give credit to that, right? Like, they just think about it differently. And also what I love too is that the couples in the community, like, like Jason and Robin, or Nick and Carolyn, like, they work on this stuff together and then they bring it out. And I just think, like, unfortunately don't have that kind of connection. Mu- Tim couldn't give two shits about the whole thing. I was lucky she let me put up a map of Montreal in my hallway, right? Like, here in Alberta, and this is a big deal, or a big thing for me that I got to kind of mention, is that given that I'm so far away from anywhere that could possibly have a cask, working on it out here is sort of, I'm not gonna use the word pointless, but you kinda get the idea. Like, I would have to travel so much. Like, I had to fly across an entire continent just to come and dig a hole in St. Augustine, you know what I mean? I could drive to San Francisco in 20 hours kinda thing, or Montreal is a 37-hour drive from my front door. Like, that's long, you know what I mean? And so, when people ask, "Well, why haven't you gotten a cask or what?" It's because 'cause I'm fucking a million miles away from anything, you know what I mean? We're very remote despite anything, right? And, but it's I think at the end of the day, because people have asked me before, well, if you're so far away from all this stuff, why bother? And it's mostly because of the community, right? Like I just love being part of something like anybody else does, right? I was part of a community growing up, and it was the Marilyn Manson fan community, right? Which in itself kind of it was really difficult growing up in a small town in rural Alberta where it's so hillbilly here. Like we are the Texas of Canada. And it's so it was really tricky and really hard to stay yourself within that community. Whereas this one, because it's so diverse in its people, like in its population, it's actually really easy to be, any kind of a person and still work on this puzzle. Like these puzzles were not directed at any specific type of person. Like, yeah, we've heard that teenagers in a library somewhere and we've heard all kinds of shit. But I think at the end of the day, it's so open about who could find these things, right? The potential is always there. And whether we like it or not, we're all on the same team. We all have the exact same objective. Like, how many people are actually in the Facebook community? Like 13,000 or something like that?
Like 19,000.
19,000. So we're almost at 20,000 people. The city I live in, when I first moved here in 2003, had 30,000 people in it, right? So it basically had the secret community in one city, and then we broke 100,000 in 2010, I think it was, or something like that. But anyways, we have all these people, and like very few of us are exactly the same or anything like that. Like we're all quite diverse, and yet we're all still working together, right? And I mean, we disagree on things. We talk about, you know, different cities that we know aren't true, things like that. We've even built, like, I gotta say, this is probably one of your greatest achievements ever. Was we've built a community inside the alternative cities group, right? Like that you threw that group up there and was like, "Fuck it, if you think it's somewhere else that's not one of these 12, go there." And now there's a community being built there, right? Like that's incredible to me.
That I think that's what keeps people involved in this, right? It's not the hunt, because the hunt's kinda dumb. It's like when you talk to your friends about it or whatever, like your outside
Yeah,
friends, your real life friends, it's kinda dumb and you feel kinda childish. But
yeah.
the community is, I think the community is what keeps people around, especially doing,
It has,
doing shit like
it
meetups
has
and
an
Secret
identity.
Santas. Yeah, I know.
I'd like to see, like, I would love to see a post one day where people just like, I want to hear the first sentence of how you describe the secret to people that are not in the secret. You know what I mean? Like when I tell people I'm part of a treasure hunting community, right? Or I've got I'm podcasting for this treasure hunting community. What's the treasure hunt? You have to digest 40 years of fucking information into one sentence. How do you do it? You know what I mean? Like if people comment on this post when you post this, I want to hear how they do that because
Yeah.
I'm sure it's entertaining as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I wanna hear everybody's elevator pitch. Everybody's
yeah,
elevator pitch about the secret,
yeah.
because we've all got one.
Oh, 100%. And Canadians and Americans probably do it quite a bit differently than each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, because y'all could talk about the places. You know what I mean? Like, I never knew Grant Park existed until I got into the secret. I never knew fucking the Italian Gardens existed. I didn't know anything, right? I didn't know St. Augustine, Florida, the city existed until I got to fucking the secret. You dig?
That's fine. We don't know what Celsius is.
No, exactly. And y'all don't know what beer is either. Nah.
Don't you have, like, watered down bullshit beer? We got at least tall cans. So there
You
you go.
do. You guys have 24-ounce cans of Twisted Tea, and that's pretty impressive to me.
Americans, they don't know what beer is. Tell out of Milwaukee.
One of my favorite.
What beer is Canadian? Molson? Nobody
There's
drinks that
Molson
shit.
Labatt. Budweiser gets made here, but it's not Canadian.
Budweiser gets made in
Um,
Jacksonville. Budweiser gets
but
made everywhere.
there's a meme that I saw a long time ago, and it was a two-framer, one on top of the other, and the top frame had like a bunch of guys under a beer tap with their golden beer in their mugs,
Yeah.
and the bottom one was a bunch of guys with those same mugs filling it with water, and it said American beer on that one.
What my favorite beer joke is, how is Budweiser and having sex in a boat similar?
Tell me.
They're both fucking close to water.
Yes, 100%. I like it.
All right. Well, are there any parting messages you want to send? Because I we're doing this like you're never gonna be around, but you're gonna be back. Like everybody leaves the secret, everybody comes back. I give you a year, and and you'll be like George, I got an idea for an episode we should do.
Yeah. 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 Well,
Uh,
first of all, am I welcome back?
yeah, everybody's welcome back. Dude, that's the thing, man. That's why family first is rule number one. Shit happens in your life. And
Yeah.
your life is more fucking important than this. It's more important than the community. It's more important than being a mod. It's more important than being on a podcast. Your life is the most important. And when you need to take time for your life, take time. Take as much time as you want. Seeger's been around 40 years, not going anywhere. You know, we'll still be here when you get back. So welcome back. Dude, I mean, like, no one is ever considered to have left, right? Like even John Michaels.
Yeah.
We were doing a thing with Jackie with her cast. I was making her a login for 12 Treasures so she could update all of her stuff. And I told her, I was like, there's only two people who have logins for 12 Treasures, and it's me and John Michaels. John Michaels still has a fucking login. John Michaels could still, if he were alive, still has the password to the um
Yeah.
to the email address. He still has all that stuff. Bradley still has access to everything that he had when he left. You come back and it's like you never left. We're still here. We're still friends. You're not leaving friends, you know?
Placate my ego for a moment. In the time that we've known each other and the time that you've seen me in the community, do you have a favorite memory with me or of me?
Yip, whoopee. That's my favorite fucking wowee. That's it. That is my favorite fucking memory. And it'll never beat it. And it's almost my favorite memory of just bringing someone to Florida. That one moment riding in a tram where I was like, look at that building, Cole. And you were like, wowee. And I'm just like, it's a building. Cause like I think that illustrated to me a lot of what well, we forget in The Secret, like, especially if you live in the city. Like, that whole complex, like, I'll just send you random pictures there because 'cause I'm having lunch, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, "Holy shit," and I'm just like, "I'm just having fucking lunch, dude." Like, it
Yeah.
becomes these things in our lives that are so special, become so normal that
Yeah.
it's always good to put it into perspective, like, to see it through someone else's eyes. So that 100% will always be my favorite memory of Cole.
Nice.
And
Thank you.
watching you on your hands and knees of the Daytona 500 finish line, trying not to burn the shit out of yourself. Like I think maybe people don't realize how heat works in
Yeah.
Florida until you touch asphalt.
Yeah. No, I remember when I first knelt down to try to sign it. Like, first of all, like you hear the words 33 degrees of banking, you don't really take much of it. But when you're on it, it was really hard to walk from the bottom to the top. Like people were helping each other to lift up. And I remember when I first knelt down, it like I could hear my knee sizzle, and I was like, "Whoa, that's it's fucking hot."
Yeah. I think
Um,
I think the best I've ever seen Cole was in the hardcore chat when you were dealing with Adam. Because you were able to like keep a group that was falling apart together and identify a problem. And then you spent, God only knows how much time. I don't even remember if it was almost a week just trying to fix the problem before making the problem go away. So I think that's the best Cole I've ever seen. It showed that you have the ability, like you number one, you have friends. You have people who like back you up. You have people who give a shit about what you say. You have people who care about your opinion and your feelings. And you're able to reciprocate that and care about those people and their feelings and corral an impossible problem and fix it.
Thank
So
you.
you're very welcome.
As far as parting messages go, first of all, I didn't do this again. Like I don't need people to placate my ego. I just ask for it sometimes because I don't really allow myself to have an ego in the egotistical sense, right? But I guess if nothing else, this whole podcast was sort of a reflection of how I feel given how I see myself within the community, right? And how others see me as well. As far as, you know, going anywhere, I mean, yeah, the spirit of me will always be here and people can always still message me and stuff like that. I just, I want people to collaborate better, not more, but better, right? And be willing to be wrong is probably one of the most valuable pieces of information or advice that I've ever gotten. And of course, I got that from you. Um, and because I think that's what ends up getting tasks of people being willing to be wrong until they're not. You know what I mean? Like, I used to say that I took a very shit. I had an approach that I would use where, oh, like Dr. House was the example I used to always use, where it's they do their cross differential or differential cross examination or whatever. I'm going to tell you this that it's here. I want you to prove to me that it's not, right? Or show me what it isn't, right? Show me. So let's say, for instance, I tell somebody I think it's at Mount Stephen Club. Tell me why I'm wrong, right? And maybe that's what made me popular in a sense, if you will, is that I'm okay with being proven wrong about a lot of things. When JM told me that nobody ever really questioned Milwaukee at that time, I thought, okay, and I moved on. Right. Like it was not, well, I'm stuck here in this thing. It's gotta be this, and you're wrong because you don't have a cask and all this bullshit. I have never espoused those kind of ideas. It's if you can't tell me I'm wrong and prove it, then maybe I'm onto something, right? And vice versa. Like if I can't sit there and tell you, okay, well, no, it can't be there because in 1985 was when they built this thing or whatever, right? If I can't do that, then to me, that's an idea worth pursuing, right? That's an idea that is worth digging further into. But if somebody can straight up tell you, like let's say you have a theory about a certain place, but that place, the monument that you're using as your kind of pedestal, if you will, uh, if that wasn't there at the time of the book, then people generally move on. And one of two things happens. They either quit the community altogether or they move on to a different city and try to do the same thing they did in the first one there. Right. And so, I mean, if I can offer any kind of parting advice, it's, be willing to be wrong and also like work together. Right. Don't work as a group, just as a group, but work together. Right. Like you're not just a person in a pile of people, you are a person whose ideas could potentially crack the whole thing open. And so you should never be afraid to express them, even in the face of people that will tell you, since you don't have a cast, your opinions don't mean shit. Um, I'd forget those people personally. Like I have personally done that where it's like, okay, well, if that's the way you're going to argue or the way you're going to talk about this stuff, then it's not worth my time. Right. And those kind of people aren't worth your time. Right. Stick to people that are, build groups within the larger group, but still maintain a relationship to that larger group, right? Um, and just you know, be kick ass to each other because it's so fucking hard to be anyone these days, let alone be who you actually want to be, especially in a large community. Like our community is sort of a microcosm, if you will, of society at large in a way that you kind of wish society would exist on. You know what I mean? Like the way we talk to each other, even when we argue and stuff and disagree and things like that, at the end of the day, we're all still here and we're all still part of the same goal. And you're not going to ever achieve that goal by just constantly shutting people down, and people shutting you down constantly isn't going to achieve that goal either. So, you know, figure out your people and then take what you learn from doing that and apply it to the larger community. And I think you'll have a lot better time. You may not ever find a cast. None of these, like the other nine, may not ever be found. But at least in 20 years, the people that are, if this community is still around in 20 years or even 10 years, they're going to remember all this and they're going to use the information that we develop and that we put out there. And I hope that it doesn't become like a big thing where it's, the people of 2025 were dumb because of X or we're wrong because of Y. Um, I hope it doesn't evolve into that, right? Like as long as people can maintain not doing that, then I think we'll still be here as long as the casks are in the ground, right? And I hope too that after they're all found, I hope that we're still all kicking it around a fire going, remember that time we found that cask, right? I love each and every one of you. I hope maybe one day that my life will have room for this sort of thing again. Um, and yeah, I guess that's about it.
All right. I love each and every one of you. Seemed like a good place to end anyway.
Yeah.